For question 1, I'd like to graph x plus y is equal to 5, and my approach is going to be to try to guess x's and y's that make this equation true. So there are a few obvious ones. I think for my guesses of x comma y, if I let x equal 0 and y equal 5, this will definitely make the equation true. Let's plug it in. My equation is x plus y is 5. I put 0 in place of x and 5 in place of y. And is that true? Yeah, 5 is equal to 5. So I'm going to graph that point. So that was the point 0 for x and 5 for y. So another obvious choice I think would be if I switch it and put 5 comma 0. Again, does this make my x plus y equals 5 equation true? Well, 5 goes in place of x, 0 goes in place of y. Is this a true statement? Again, we get 5 is equal to 5. So yeah, I can also plot 5, 0. So the goal is to plot at least 2 points, and you could really stop here and draw the line going between them. I'm just going to choose one other, just place that on my example. I guess I could use, let's say, 2 comma 3. That would be another good choice. Again, saying, well, in my equation, x plus y is equal to 5. If I put 2 in place of x and 3 in place of y, is that a true statement? We're always getting that 5 is equal to 5. So certainly, you can look at 2 comma 3. Other good guesses would be if you switched it and had 3 comma 2, perhaps 1, 4, and 4, 1. Those are all great choices. I think that's enough at this point. I'm going to draw the line going between these points. So I get something that looks like this. So we're just trying to get a decent sketch of this graph. Okay, the other thing I'm asking for is the slope as well as the x and y intercept. And I'm going to start with slope, which we denote m. That's equal to the rise over the run. What you can do is pick 2 points. Let's say this point, we could use this point right here. You could use this point and this point. Any two will work. If I go down 2, that's my rise. It's going to be -2. And I have to go over 2 to get back on the graph, which is the run. So it appears that the slope is -2 over 2, and that simplifies to -1. You could have used any pair of points and this would work, like this point and this point. Here you're going down 5 and over 5. It'd be -5 over 5, but the result is that it still is equal to 1. So your work may look a little bit different, but you should end up at this answer here. So I'll write that the slope is -1. For the x-intercept and the y-intercept, so let's see. If I start with the x-intercept, that's where the graph is on the x-axis, which is right here. And that is the point 5 comma 0. 5 for x and 0 for y. The y-intercept is where the graph is on the y-axis, which is right here, and that is 0 comma 5. So for this problem, we have several points that we verified in the equation. The slope was equal to -1, and here are my 2 intercepts. Okay, let's try this again in question 2. All right, again, my approach is to figure out x and y values that make the equation true just by guessing. And, oh, I see a pretty obvious one. That is 0 for x and 0 for y. Does that work? The equation is y minus 3x is equal to 0 if you put 0 in place of y and 0 in place of x. This is certainly true. The left side simplifies to 0, and that's equal to the right side. So this is different, but we get the origin as part of the graph. I'm going to get one other point. Okay, let's see. Well, if I put 2 in for x, if I look at the equation, if you put 2 here, this multiplies to 6. And my goal is to make this thing equal to 0. That forces the y value to be equal to 6. let's check to see if this is true. Again, my equation is y minus 3x is equal to 0. If I put 6 in place of y and 2 in place of x, this simplifies to 6 minus 6, and that, in fact, is equal to 0. So again, the point 2, 6 is also on the graph. There are a lot of options for points that you can use, so here are 2 of them, and I'm going to just stick with these 2. The graph that goes between those 2 points is this. So here's my sketch. So next thing is, well, what is the slope? You know, the rise over the run. And I only have 2 points to work with. Well, the rise, if I go from here to here, is 6. So I'm going to fill that in. The rise is 6. And the run is how far you go over, which is 2. And that means my slope simplifies to, well, up here you could say it's 3 over 1, or simply just note that the slope is equal to 3. Now the x-intercept, that's where the graph is on the x-axis, which is right here. It's actually the point 0, 0. And what's strange about this problem is, well, that's actually also the y-intercept because it's on the y-axis as well. For this problem, it turns out that the x-intercept and the y-intercept are the same point. This is the only time that can happen, when you have the origin on the graph. All right, so for questions 3 and 4, I'm going to try to get 2 points and go from there. So let's see. When the equations become more difficult, it's probably a little bit harder to guess the answers. Again, though, we're looking for an x comma y that makes this equation true. Let's see. If I pick 0 for x, that means y would have to be equal to -4. When you're trying to guess points, letting x or y equal to 0 usually makes the equation simplify pretty nicely. But again, I just want to verify that this is true. So my equation is 2x plus y is equal to -4. If I put 0 in place of x and -4 in place of y, is this a true statement? And the answer is, well, yeah, because -4 is equal to -4. This means that the point 0, -4 is on the graph. So again, when you're having trouble guessing, a good approach is to, well, if I put 0 in place of y, maybe it will be easy to guess what the x value has to be. Well, if I put 0 here and I want the result to equal -4, it must mean that x is equal to -2. You know, let's see if that makes the equation true as well. 2x plus y is equal to -4. If you put -2 in place of x and 0 in place of y, you do get that -4 is equal to -4. So -2, 0 makes the equation true. I have 2 points, so I think I'll draw the line going between them. All right, so the other nice thing about using this approach of choosing 0 for x, solving for y, and then 0 for y and solving for x is we just found the x and the y intercept. I don't think we have to do this again, but this point I chose, this is actually the y-intercept. You will always get this when you let x equal 0. And likewise, this point is the x-intercept. And that will always happen when you let y equal 0. So we've actually already answered that part of the question. But what we haven't figured out is the slope. I only have 2 points to work with, but for this one, the rise is -4, and the run is +2. This simplifies to, well, that's -2 over 1, or simply -2. Okay, and I have one more example, and that's x minus 2y is equal to 6. Okay, Okay, again, we're guessing x's and y's. And I want to take that approach of, well, it seemed that choosing 0 for x made figuring out y pretty easy. If you put 0 here, you're left with negative 2y is equal to 6. It's got to be that y is equal to negative 3. Does this work in my equation x minus 2y is equal to 6? And the answer is yeah. 0 for x, negative 3 for y, gives me that 6 is equal to 6. That is a true statement. So I have the point 0, negative 3. And the nice thing about this is the y-intercept. So we need one more point. For this one, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to let y equal 0 and solve for x. If I put 0 in place of y, I'm actually just left with x is equal to 6, meaning, well, x must be 6. But again, just to verify this, my equation is x minus 2y is equal to 6. I'm putting 6 in place of x. I'm putting 0 in place of y. I'm asking, is that true? And it quickly reduces to 6 is equal to 6, a true statement. So we get 6 for x and 0 for y. And this is on the x-axis, meaning this is the x-intercept. And I'll draw the graph going between these 2 points, since I have 2 points to work with. The last thing for this one is, well, what is the slope? So it's going to be a positive number because we are going up this time. The rise is 1, 2, 3, so I'll put 3. And the run is 6. And this can be reduced to 1 over 2. And technically, you could even use a decimal if you wanted to and say 0.5. But when talking about slope, leaving your answer as a fraction is kind of nice. It tells you that, well, every time that you go up 1, you're going over 2. So it's like I go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. That is the same thing as saying you're going up 3 and over 6.